The ZX Spectrum, it's got the entire game on a ROM chip, so as the power is applied to it, straight away it's loaded from ROM into memory, so you don't have to wait for that 5 or 6 minutes for the tape going while it loads up. The mechanism is completely different. There's a little tiny bootloader in there which tells it to go in and read all of the data, copy it from ROM into RAM. So yeah, there's a bit of paging going on as that gets all 48k worth of data up and running. As long as you've got the copy, it's all perfectly legal. The computer was revamped in 1986 with the Spectrum Plus 128, 128k. It was backwards compatible to the original Spectrum, so you could play all the original games, but there was an enhanced version of BASIC. And obviously with 128k of memory, it was a lot more flexible. There's also a decent sound chip in there as well, as opposed to the beep, beep, beep that you got out of the old Spectrum.
So the sound on things like Manic Miner was just a simple beep, was it?
It is just a really simple, a simple speaker that you could oscillate the signal that goes to the speaker, and that kind of makes music-ish, yes.
Music's a stretch. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Now, after the Spectrum Plus, so Sinclair were in some financial problems. They were very likely going to go under. At which point Amstrad said, "Oh, we could pick you up for hardly any money at all." So Amstrad bought out Sinclair. They owned the name and the rights to it all. The QL they weren't interested in. They dropped that. But the Spectrum 128, they rebranded that into their own form factor with a cassette deck on it. So you don't need your separate tape player anymore. You've got a built-in cassette player, and loads of games from there. So this is a very similar type machine to the Amstrad CPC 464.
So obviously you could get this printer as well, could you?
In light of Clive Sinclair's other ideas, he thought, let's go cheap. Look, we haven't got to use a big expensive A4 width printer. We haven't got to use dot matrix type technology. If we use the silver foil stuff, we can actually get away with a really cheap printer, only 4 inches wide, but it's cheap and it does the job. The paper is metallicised, and there's a little tiny springy arm that whizzes around as it goes past. So if it's passing current and it hits the paper, it leaves a little mark on there. So there's not a lot of moving parts in there, but you're able to get printed paper out of it.
And I'm guessing this was a device with no real reason.
Well, the reason was that people had a computer and they wanted to print. Yes, there's better ways of doing it, but it's served a purpose.
What is Clive up to these days? What's going on with Sinclair and?
Yeah, the Spectrum isn't dead. People are probably aware of the Spectrum Vega. There's also been the recreated Spectrum as well, and now there's the Vega Plus, which I believe is due out shortly. That's a little handheld version of the Spectrum with 1,000 preloaded games on there.